Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to this live. So I wanted to talk today about quitting my job and what it was actually like. Let me adjust the camera a little more. Okay, just adjusting the camera. I think we are good to go. Okay. So I wanted to talk today about what it was actually like to quit my job. I want to go over why I quit, how I quit, everything in between. And if you ever have any questions, definitely write in the comment box. Write any questions. I'm so happy to answer. I want to tell you the entire story of what it was actually like. I haven't shared this. This is like never before shared. I've made comments and I know I've talked about quitting my job a lot, but I've never talked about like moment to moment, like what it actually felt like. Because a lot of things really did surprise me that I totally did not expect. So I definitely want to share exactly what it was like. So I'm going to start with why I wanted to quit and then go into how I knew it was time to quit. And then I want to talk about that day and everyone's reactions, and then we'll do a Q&A. I'll answer your questions as you say them, but there's also questions people asked yesterday. So let's get started. So why I wanted to quit my job. To me, it's almost like I don't even have to address this because it was so obvious. Hi, Chris. My fiance's on. Hey. Okay, so I wanted to quit my job because I wanted the freedom. I wanted the freedom from my corporate life. So I started my job right out of college and it was my dream job. I moved to Connecticut. I'm originally from Maryland. I went to college in Delaware and I joined because I found my dream job. I thought I had majored in chemical engineering but I didn't find a lot of chemical engineering applications that interesting. I knew I didn't want to go into pharmaceuticals. I didn't want to go into medicine. I didn't want to go into like chemicals or materials. I didn't want to do anything too like space. I don't know. So I found this company that I worked at, and they're a green energy company. So they're green energy, and I would have a research job where I worked in the lab full time, and I had full creative control over my projects, and I really got to make a difference working on green energy and I thought this was perfect. This was the perfect opportunity. So right when I graduated college, I was so excited. And it was great. And even my entire employment, I never had like a bad time there. But I came to realize after about a year, like this wasn't for me. It wasn't that I hated my job. It was just that I can't see myself doing this job for the next 40 years. And I would look at the other engineers in the company and I'm like, I can't see doing their jobs for 40 years. I can't see ever doing their jobs. Their jobs are so boring. I was convinced I had the best job in the company, and I thought their jobs were so boring, and I had no idea how to get out of this trap. So I really did a deep dive into self-development, and I thought, what do I want out of this life? I have this one life. What do I want from it? And I ask myself all the time, like, what makes me happy? Because luckily, I wasn't convinced that engineering was the right path for me. And I say luckily now because I know I found my true passion, but back then it doesn't feel lucky. It's like, oh crap, I majored in engineering. I have this whole degree in chemical engineering. I put a lot of effort into this, but it's not what I want to do. Now what? I didn't have another passion. And so but this leads me to think, luckily, looking back, because then I had to do a deep dive and think, okay, Kelsey, like what makes you actually happy? What do you want? What do you not like about what's happening in your life right now? And I realized with my job, a lot of what I didn't like was just the corporateness, right? Like I didn't like about my job. And this was like after a year of college. This was like years ago. So I realized I didn't like the corporate thing. I didn't like that in the spring when it was 70 degrees outside, I had to be trapped inside my building during all the sunlight hours. That's not how humans were meant to live. I'm convinced that is not how humans are meant to live. And I personally, my energy levels are like really good in the morning, and then the afternoon sort of wane a little bit, and then the evening go back up. And when I was in college, I would study this way a lot. I would study in the morning, do whatever in the afternoon, study again at night. But your corporate job, you can't do that. You can only work between 9 to 5. And I feel like it's not just me who finds the hours of like 2 to like 4:30 like excruciating. I could not focus. My energy was never good, and that was not right for me. So not only did I hated being trapped in the building. I hated waking up early. Some days I loved waking up early, and other days I didn't. And I wanted full autonomy to decide when I get to wake up. I didn't want this job telling me when I have to wake up. I also didn't like that people always had to, and when it came time for me to quit, so I switched from engineering to HR. And when I realized, like in HR, one of the big reasons I quit was because I didn't like having to get approvals for everything I wanted to do. I had worked in engineering for 2.5 years. I switched to HR, that's my career path, and I switched because I found all these things that I thought would benefit the company, and I wanted to do them. I knew what employees were frustrated about, and I knew how to fix it, and no one would let me do it. I had to go through 8,000 approvals for every single thing I wanted to do. So I'm like, no, this life's not for me. I'm not meant to work for someone else. I'm not meant to go through all these approvals. I'm not meant to work in this tiny cubicle from 8 to 5 every single day, regardless of the weather. I'm not meant to sacrifice all my warm, sunny, beautiful afternoons, but then not have many obligations in the cold, dark evenings. That didn't make any sense to me. So I'm like, okay, so if I had known, and I knew engineering wasn't for me, so the easy path would have just been to say, I don't like my job, I'm going to find a different company. I'm going to find a different job. But I knew the things about my job that I didn't like wouldn't go away just because I worked for a different employer. You always have to sit in your cubicle. You always have to work for other people and have other people make decisions for you. And I realized what I didn't like was the corporateness. The days when I got to work from home, it was very rare for people in our company to get to work from home, but we got to sometimes if there was like a snow day, or if I had a bunch of doctor's appointments, maybe I could squeeze in a couple work from home hours, and those were amazing. On my work from home days, I was so excited because this entire time I was trying to figure out what job is for me. So I listened to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks about side hustling and like what business could I start, like the idea of earning money not being attached to time. And really, it shouldn't be attached to time, and the money you earn should be passive, at least in some way, and not necessarily directly correlated to hours you work. That idea was magical to me because it meant if my time was my most finite resource and my most precious and valuable resource, why would I want to put a dollar value on that? Especially a dollar value of like $15 an hour. I think I was making like after tax like $20 an hour, something like that. My precious finite life is worth way more than $20 an hour. I didn't want to put a cap on that. So I fell in love with the idea of passive income, which is when your income is not tied to your time. It's just tied to the value of your ideas and the service you put into the world and how much other people need what you have to serve. And I'm like, that makes so much more sense than, hi, I'm signing up to my time is worth $20 an hour. That wasn't for me. So I knew I had to quit one day. I knew I had to quit one day. It was because I didn't like waking up early. I didn't like being trapped in the cubicle. I didn't like doing what everyone else told me to. I didn't like the corporate environment. That wasn't for me. I think I'd known since I was a small kid. I mean, I remember like I loved playing store with like my brothers and cousins, and I fell in love with the idea of like always outthinking them. I was the oldest, so it wasn't so hard to do, but I liked thinking of what can I sell that they'll actually want to buy better than their stupid pillows that they're trying to sell me. I loved playing The Sims 2 Open for Business. I loved running the businesses on there. I remember in high school, I asked my dad, because it was getting closer to college, which meant closer to a job, and I remember asking my dad and being like, what if I don't want a job? I knew I had to get one, but I couldn't think of one that I wanted. And like, I didn't like the idea of being trapped in the corporate world, even back in high school before I knew what it was like. So that's why I wanted to quit. I wanted the freedom. I wanted to be able to live the life of my dreams. I wanted the freedom to wake up every precious freaking day and be so excited and grateful for everything that day was going to bring. And I wanted to feel excited for every moment. I have one life to live, and I'm not giving it away for $20. I wanted to own my life, and that's why I knew I had to quit. And I'm so thankful that I did it now. And then how I knew that was time. So I'd clearly been having these ideas of quitting for like years. There were years I wanted to quit my corporate job, but I obviously wasn't ready to take the plunge. So I knew it was time to quit because my business, so I'd worked on a couple different side hustles and I liked them, but I really fell in love with coaching. I fell in love with being a money coach. I love being a money coach. I love transforming people's finances. It is so exciting to, like, I feel like my clients' wins are like almost more exciting than my own because their wins, like I knew it, like when I have a win, yeah, I know what's going on in my mind and I know what I'm doing. But when they have a win, it's like, oh my God, like just a week ago you told me you could never ever do this and now your debt's gone. Literally. Like I fell in love with the transformation process and helping people change their money lives, and knowing when people are like, oh, I opened a Roth IRA, or oh, I invested this, like they're like, yay, like I did it because you told me to, and they're excited. But I'm like, no, you just changed the trajectory of your entire future. If you never budgeted or you never found me and you never took action, like who knows where you'd be in a year or 5 years or 10 years. But now, like your whole future, your whole financial future, literally just because of that $2,000 you put in, is like so much for the better. And I fell in love with coaching. And as I fell more deeply in love with coaching, I really only took coaching very, very seriously like last summer. I started coaching the summer before that, but I only had a couple clients. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then I took coaching really seriously in the summer of 2019, when I was like, that was when I decided for myself, I'm doing this full time now. I'm coaching full time. I wasn't wavering. I wasn't going, well, maybe I want to do the corporate thing. Maybe I want to blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm coaching full time and I'm figuring out a way to do this. And I decided that coaching was for me. So once I made that decision, I made a couple of changes in my life. I started working with other business coaches to help me get my business further. I started doing everything I can to really advance my business. And one of my business coaches, this is how I knew it was time to quit my job. So one of my business coaches did help me come up with an income goal. I didn't really have a strong income goal that I wanted. And it wasn't just for me. I really wanted to make my fiance feel comfortable with the idea of me quitting as well, because we're getting married this year, and I didn't want to just quit on him and not bring anything to the table. Like I want to also make money and I want to be successful, and I don't want him to be supportive but secretly being like, what the heck is she doing sitting at home all day? Like I wanted to contribute, and just in a way that I enjoyed doing better than my corporate job. So in September, October, yeah. So in September, me and my coach made a plan where if I made $4,000 in my business sales, not even cash, but if I made $4,000 sales in my business every single month, September, October, November, then I could quit my corporate job. I agreed on it. My fiance agreed on it, because even though $4,000 sales isn't like so much, it was a big jump for me at the time. It seemed unimaginable, but if I worked hard, I felt like I could do it. And I felt like if I'm making $4,000 sales working 10 hours a week, imagine what I could make if I worked 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Imagine if I didn't have to go to this corporate job that drains my energy and I come home just feeling so stressed and exhausted that I don't even want to do anything. Like it's not that I didn't have time to work on my business. I didn't have the energy. I didn't have the drive every single day, because even though my business did drive me forward and I worked so hard mostly every single day, like it was like the energy drain of just coming back from that job after working all day. It seriously is like so exhausting. So I was like, imagine if I didn't have that drain and I could work full time, like 40 hours a week. If I could make 4,000 sales in 10 hours a week, I could easily make 4 times that, $16,000 of sales in 40 hours a week easily without changing anything. It's just a numbers game. So that was my plan, make $4,000 sales for 3 months in a row. So September, I did it. I barely scraped by, but I got $4,000 in sales in September. And then in October, I got $6,000 in sales. I actually surpassed what I thought I was going to get. And then in November, I actually went on leave from my job for a couple weeks because of personal family issues, which was very unfortunate, but also a blessing in disguise, I guess, because I took 5 or 4 weeks off work. And so during those 4 weeks I took off work, or no, it was 5. It was like a couple days. So I took 5 weeks off work in November. And I knew I had some conferences to go to, and I knew also, like, I'm like, I'll never have 5 weeks off work again. Hopefully. I never want this other issue to come up. But I'm like, I will never have 5 weeks off work again. I have to prove to myself that working full time is going to be successful. This is my full-time month, and I need to prove to myself that this is going to work. So that November, I'm like still stressed from it, honestly. Like I worked so hard. I worked harder than I ever have in that November. And because I decided this month is going to be my month. If I can't hit my goals this month, I'll never, ever be able to. I'll never trust myself, and I'll never be able to convince anyone that I can do it. So I made the effort that November, I was like, I'm hitting a 10K month. I have to. And I worked so hard that month and I did it. And I hit my first 10K month in my business and I felt so excited. And I know my goal was only 4K, 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 but I had 4K, 6K, and then it was my first full-time month. So I made $10,000 in sales. And this was something I never thought I was even close to. And it felt so good to hit that number because it proved yes, the money is nice, sure, but it proved to myself more that I can do it. I will be successful. My success is inevitable. I decided that I'm going to hit $10,000 and I did it because of hard work, perseverance, working with coaches, working smarter, working harder, and doing everything I possibly could to meet my goals. And that was the moment I knew I was quitting. Like every month, day, week before that, I was on my path to quitting. But after I hit the $10,000, I was like, that's that. I'm quit. I did it. That's it. I can quit now. And so that's amazing. Thumbs up. Thank you guys. You're so sweet. Okay, so then in December, I went back to work. And I would have quit on my first day back to work, but we were moving new offices and there were some other things going on. So I was like, okay, I'll just finish up these couple projects and then I will quit. So I was going to quit December 1st or December 2nd, whatever. But then I ended up staying all through December to finish up these projects. And then it was January. Okay, so we answered why I wanted to quit, how I knew that was the time to quit. And then now I'm going to talk about like the actual like day. So proud of you. I'm getting emotional. I'm so happy for you. Jennifer, I love you. You're so sweet. Okay, so the actual day that I quit, okay, so I'd put it off for a month. Like I thought about quitting in December. I even asked my boss, I'm like, is it possible to like work part-time? I wanted to know, but I was also trying to like plant the seed. So they weren't too shocked when I left. And then in January, I was like, okay, it's time. So it was January 3rd. So January 2nd, all our projects were done. It's a new year. I'm like, today's the day I'm quitting. I will do it. I did not do it. I was terrified. I'd been thinking, I just told you the whole story, right? I've been thinking about this moment for years. I've been planning for years. I've been working hard every single day after my job for years. I worked my ass off during November to like make this happen. It happened 2 months ago and I'm still scared to quit. And I'm like, why? I don't know. I was just so scared. So Thursday passed, I didn't quit. And then Friday, I'm like, today's the day I'm going to quit. Thursday night when I went home from my job, like me and my fiance had like a huge talk and I'm like, how do I do it? Like, what do I say? Is it actually time? What if I don't know it's time? What if I want to work part-time? I was scared to lose that opportunity forever because my company, even though I didn't love the corporate way per se, my company was really great. They let me switch from an engineering research role to an HR role, which I had no experience in. And they took me in the HR role and they trained me and they brought me up and they kept my salary. So there was a girl in HR like 10 years older than me and I was making more than her. And then they had to raise her salary. So thank God for her. It was a win-win upward spiral for all of us. But they kept my engineering salary. So I'm like thinking like, if I lose this opportunity, I'm never going to make this salary in this position again. Like I will have to take a massive pay cut if I have to work in an HR role in a different career. So that was hard to swallow. I was just really nervous. I knew I wanted to do it, but all the ego, all the scarcity mindset coming back at you. And it's like, what if I never get this opportunity? Everything's going through my head. It's Friday. I'm like sitting at my desk. I'm like so nervous. I typed up like a resignation letter. It was really short. It's just like, I'm resigning. And the printer was like I was like the closest seat to the printer. And like, I was like, okay, you just have to print this. And I could watch everyone who prints stuff. I can hear the printer going when someone else print. I would like wait till like it was silence for a long time. I would go to like click print on my resignation letter, knowing if I click print and then sprint over, I'll be the first one there. But I never printed that letter because I was so scared someone else would find it. And I was so scared to resign. I was like, what if I don't want to do this? But then by the afternoon, I was like, okay, I have to do it now. But my boss kept leaving. He'd never sat at his desk for longer than 5 seconds. I could never even get his attention. So I'm like, oh. So I had to sit with myself all weekend. And and have these thoughts like burrow in even further. Like, what am I doing? Do I want to work part-time? Like, what if working part-time is a better option? Then I can at least have some stable income. What if I'm giving this amazing job opportunity up to work on my business? And it came down to like, I just had to know. My business was gaining so much momentum. I just made 10K. I had maybe 4K, 6K, and 10K in sales. And I felt like, and I did that by taking on more clients and more works and more projects. And I projected in 2020 multiple six figures. So I knew like it's now or never. I have to be full time if I'm gonna hit these goals. And it felt like if I didn't do it now, I would never know. Like, I know it isn't always like this, but it felt like at that moment, it's now or never. I have to quit on Monday or I will sacrifice all my dreams because my business will lose so much momentum. I can't keep up with all those clients and projects. Even though like I had some help, I knew I couldn't keep it up. And my actual corporate job projects had like disappeared, like those had completed. So it was like a perfect time to quit. And my boss also told me a third thing. My boss also told me what I would be doing in 2020. And it was like the exact jobs that I had been wanting to do my entire year in HR. It was like all my exact jobs that I had wanted to do the entire year. And I didn't even feel excited about it because I knew I couldn't give 100% to my corporate job because this dream was like eating up at me. Okay, so it's Monday. I get to the office at 7 a.m. I'm like shaking, I'm nervous, I'm sweating. I'm like sitting at my desk and I can't focus. I'm getting there at 7 a.m. and no one else gets there till 8 or 8:30. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? I keep like looking behind my shoulder to see if like my boss is coming behind me because he had to like pass me to go to his seat. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, he needs to just arrive. Why isn't he getting here early today? And he does actually get there kind of early at 8. Or whatever. He goes to his desk and no one else had arrived. It's just me and him. And our office has like an open concept. So he's the director of the department, but he sits at an open desk, like at a table with us. And so I couldn't just walk into his office. I had to like bring him to another conference room. And that was like a huge mental barrier for me. Like this is what shocked me. I'd spent years and years dying for this moment. I wanted to quit so badly. And now that it was here, I couldn't do it. And I was like, why? I was shocked that I would be this terrified. I did a good work, but I don't feel like I was a key to the company. It's not like, oh my God, what is anyone going to do without me? They'll be fine without me. I was just gone for an entire month and they were fine. Like, I don't know what I was so worried about, but I was. And finally, okay, so he's sitting at his desk and I'm like shaking. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I hear him like unpack his bags and like check his email. So I'm like, okay, I'll let him like, you like to like settle in. I like to settle in when I get to work. So I'm like, I'll let him like do a quick scroll of his emails and then I'll say something. And then he said something to me. And then I was like, about like some meeting. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like we'll go to that meeting next week. But I'm thinking like, I'm not going to be here. And then, it's like 8:58. I'm about to call him into the conference room. And then I see he has another meeting at 9. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't pull him in now because he's going to miss his meeting. So he leaves his desk and I'm like, oh, I just missed my chance. He's going to come back from his meeting and all my coworkers are going to be back and it's going to be so awkward because we're in this open office concept and I'm going to have to be like, can we talk in the conference room? And everyone's going to be like, what's the drama? So eventually, he comes back a couple minutes later. His meeting at 9 is canceled. It's 9:05. No one's in the office yet except me and him. And I'm like, okay, I have to do it. So I'm like, hey, like, Dan, his name's Dan. Can we go into like the conference room right there? And he's like, sure. So we sit down and I'm like, so I didn't have a letter. I didn't have anything planned. I had been so worried about like moving into that conference room. I like forgot like what I was going to say once I got there. But I was like, so I'm sorry to do this. I was like not making eye contact. I'm like looking down. I'm like, I'm sorry about this. But I have to put in my 2 weeks and I'm quitting. And he took it well. He surprisingly, so everyone's reactions. So I finally did it. And I felt like the adrenaline, full on adrenaline at this point. Like I was relieved, but also like the fear hadn't completely left. And like when you finish a roller coaster, you're like happy, like it's over, or at least I am, but like you still feel that like, you know, adrenaline. So okay. So he was very calm. He is the director of HR, so you can't show too much emotion. You hear a lot of crazier stuff than this, but he was very calm. He's like, okay, like, well, we're sad to see you go. Like, where are you going? And this, I think this is the reason why I was so nervous. I don't know. So if you left a job for a different job, let me know in the comments whether like you felt this also. But I think I was so nervous to quit my corporate job because I knew that I knew I was working to work on my own business, and no one in my corporate job, besides like my close friends, knew I was doing this. So everyone at my corporate job, like I was so nervous to tell them I was starting my own business because I thought they would think I was crazy. I thought they'd be like, okay, that's stupid, or like, what are you doing? I mean, I don't care, but I do care. Like, I don't care if they think that because I'm so invested in my own idea, and I know I'm an amazing coach, and I know this is reliable, so like I don't care. But at the same time, it doesn't mean I want to be placed inside of that awkward conversation where I'm like, yeah, I'm starting my own business, and everyone's like, what? But he kept trying to ask me where I'm going, and I kept like not like saying it. I was like, oh, I'm just like leaving. And then he's like, but where are you going? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, and then finally I was just like, you know, I'm working on my own business. I'm an online coach. I didn't say financial, but I was just like, I'm an online coach. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, I have my own business. I help people pay off debt, and like I help people pay off debt and whatever. And he was like, okay, that's cool, even though he was probably thinking that's not cool at all and that makes no sense and that's so weird, and we'll talk about it later. But he was pretty calm, and he just asked like, why do you want to leave? And I'm like, I just had to work on my own business. I had to know. I'm like, I liked working in this department, and it's not you guys. I mean, I mostly liked it. There were times when I was super frustrated. I'm like, but I really quit because of me. I really quit because I had to know what it was like working for myself. I had to do it now while I'm still young. I had to do it now while I don't have children or other obligations like medical issues, whatever. I have to know now. I have to. And I'm like, I almost asked you for part-time opportunities, but I know that's difficult with the nature of the job. I just had to leave it. And he's like, okay, makes sense. So, and he's like, I'm sorry, here you go. Like, that's a sad way to start a Monday, but we'll move on. So, okay, so we move on. Let me see. I haven't officially quit my job that I went on maternity leave from 9 months ago because it seems scary to officially cut off that opportunity. But I know I need to so I can roll over that 401k. Yeah, it's scary. And you totally have, I mean, humans have a bias where they will sacrifice great just to keep doors open in their lives. So Dan Ariely is a behavioral economist, and he does studies of like people playing computer games where they have to like open certain doors, but if you open other doors, like other ones will close forever. And he said people will sacrifice money that they know they're making tons of money, and they know they will make tons of money through this door, more through this door. They will sacrifice that just to keep all the doors open. You can read it in his book, Predictably Unpredictable, but humans have a bias to keep open all opportunities. So that's another reason it's so scary to close the door on a good opportunity for a great opportunity. But I did it. Okay, so I go back to my desk and I email my team. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. And no one answered. Literally never answered ever. No one on the team answered my email, and I'm like, that's weird. Like, still to this day, no one ever answered. And then I told my manager, that was the director of the department. I told my manager. He was really sad, but he followed me on Instagram. So he's like, I knew you had like a hobby, but I didn't really know how serious it was. I didn't expect you to quit now. And I'm like, sorry. And he's like, I wish you would have told us. And he's like, but I get it. I totally get it. So he was cool with it. And then and then a couple minutes later, the COO of the company, like the chief operating officer who owns the company, came over to my desk and was like, we're going to miss you. You can always have a job back here. Like, we're sad to see you go. And it was really nice because a lot of people, I think he doesn't address a lot of people when they leave, and people get sad about that, but he made the effort to come over right away and ask about what I was doing. And I'm like, oh, I'm an online Instagram coach. He's like, oh, that's really cool. And like, he was really supportive, and that meant a lot. Everyone was so supportive. My favorite reactions, I appreciated everyone being nice. If people thought I was being crazy and stupid. They didn't say it to me, and I'm thankful for that. Please talk behind my back. I don't want to know. But a couple people pulled me aside and they're like, teach me how to do this. And so it's not that I want people to leave our company, so I feel kind of bad about that, but I want everyone to follow their dreams. And so people were saying, like, some people were like, teach me how to be better with my money. Like, so then what do you think about real estate investments? Like, what do you think about actual investments? Like, how do I pay off my student loans faster? Once people found out I did that, they were asking me all kinds of questions about their money. And I'm like, dang, I should have told everyone about this business sooner. I didn't know you'd be so supportive. And then there's other people who wanted to start their own online business. And there's people who have ideas that have been building in their minds forever. And some of the people who came to me are like 50. And they're like, I've wanted to do this for so long. I just don't know how. And I've always wanted to start, but I was nervous. And I'm like, and they're like, I still want to do it. Like, I don't want to work here forever. And they're 50. And it's like, yeah, you can. It's not too late. It's never too late. Because even if you're 50, if you're going to retire when you're 65, I mean, I left my job in 3.5 years. So wouldn't you rather leave at 53 than 65? Like, it's never too late to start working on the stuff that you love. And I loved answering other people's business questions and money questions. And it was so fun, like spending that week, like answering people's questions like that. And honestly, my last 2 weeks almost made me not want to leave the company, because since I didn't have that pressure of like, oh, I better do good work performance, and I just got to do what I enjoyed because I'm leaving anyway, so like, what are they going to do? Like, that made me love my job a lot more. It made me realize I love the people. I love working in that environment. I love answering people's questions. I love serving people. It made me realize how much I truly love coaching, because that was my favorite part of working at that company, was my last 2 weeks when people would ask me all my business questions. I love coaching and I love serving people, and that's how I know I'm in the right spot. So that was my story. If there's anything that I didn't answer, please put it in the questions right now. I'm happy to answer anything, whether you want to know other people's reactions, or how it's been since, or like why it took me 3.5 years, what I was doing in those other years. I don't know. If you have any questions, let me know. I have a couple from the other day that I'm going to pull up right now. So, you can see who said that. That was my fiance. So he already asked me that, obviously. Health insurance. I'm on my dad's health insurance. And so I'm on my dad's health insurance. I'm only 25. So that's a good question. I don't have any medical issues, so I don't need special insurance, thank God. I'm on my dad's insurance until I'm 26 in April, so I only have 4 months left. And then our company, and I know this because I was in HR, our company allows you to get on your domestic partner's insurance. So my fiance is my domestic partner, so I would just jump on his insurance. And I know our company has really good benefits, so I'm not concerned. And if that plan failed, so if my dad's insurance went away, because I turned 26, and our company did not offer domestic insurance, I'm getting married in June anyway. My birthday's in April, and we're getting married in June, so I would honestly probably just risk it for like 2 months. That's not great advice, but that's what I would have done. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. What legal/business finance steps did you take to prepare for this transition? So legally, nothing. I mean, I have all my what's the word? Oh, clients sign a contract when they sign on to join with me. So all my clients sign a contract when they want to work with me, and I've been doing that forever. And what else would I do legally? So with taxes, I mean, I just do self-employed taxes instead of get a W-2. So that's a lot harder, actually, and I will get an accountant. Okay, so there's some questions here. Did you get certified to become a coach? So yeah, that's probably in like the legal like certification realm. So no, I'm not certified, and I'm very upfront with all my clients about that. That's actually one of the things strongly in the contract. And I say it again in like an email usually, like, I'm not certified, I'm not licensed. But that means that I can't say certain things. Like, I can't tell you exactly what to invest in. I can't be like, put this many dollars in this kind of account. So I can't do those kinds of stuff. And I'm very upfront about that. Personally, and I got some questions from people at work about this too. Personally, I feel like it's an asset, because since I wasn't certified, I wasn't in that corporate world, I just did it from the school of hard knocks. I know how to pay off my loans that way, and that's what I'm going to teach you. So I don't have any certifications or licenses, and I don't need them. Besides, if I wanted to help people with investing, I would have to be a certified financial advisor, which I'm not, so I don't help people with that. Do you keep in touch with any of your old coworkers? Yeah, I do. So my fiance, sorry, so a call came in. My fiance works at that company as well. So I keep in touch. I can keep in touch with anyone like through him, like if I have like a quick question for someone. But yeah, people still text me. Some people text me after I left asking like finance and business questions. But there are a bunch of people around our age that I still see around. One of my best friends works there. So obviously I still talk to him. Yeah. And 2 weeks after I left the company, I got lunch with the COO. He wanted to meet with me. And I was so worried he would ask like, I don't know, reviews of the company or something, which is fine. I have nothing bad to hide, but no, he was just friendly, like how's wedding planning, like a casual conversation. So I keep in touch with friends and also the COO, I guess. How do you deal with everyone else being at work? What do you mean? Like, do you mean like I'm home all day and all my friends are at work, so I'm like bored? That's a good question, if that's what you meant. If you didn't, like, please retype it. But yeah, like, I don't mind it. I love it. I feel like there's not enough time in the day to do everything that I want, actually. So yeah, that is what you meant. Yeah. So I'm busy. Like, not like I wake up every day with my fiance at 6:30 a.m. I get to work by 7. I mean, some days, like when I was hungover yesterday, I didn't really start working till like 8, but whatever, that's one off. I usually start working every single day at 7, and I have so many tasks. I never even get done with like 1/10 of them. So I'm very, very busy. Tasks with my business, tasks with like going to the gym and cleaning the house and like personal stuff. And then yeah, otherwise I spend all day working. So it's almost as if I still have a job. Like I feel like everyone else, I still have a job. So it doesn't really feel that different right now because yeah, I still feel I work the entire day and I work a lot. And some of my other friends in this area actually are entrepreneurs as well. So I've been meeting up with them sometimes. So it's been really great. I have friends that are entrepreneurs in the area, and otherwise I just work all day. So I feel like there's not enough time in the day anyway. I hope that answered your question. Okay. Did you register your business as an LLC or operating as a DBA? So I'm registering my business as an LLC right now. I didn't in the past actually because, which is another reason I was so strict on every individual client contract, because I didn't have an LLC in the past because my business wasn't bringing in that much money. I mean, like obviously it's best practice to always register as an LLC or whatever, like get your certifications, protect yourself is very important. But I didn't do it at first because I didn't know, like I said, I didn't take coaching so seriously until summer 2019. And then I wasn't sure how much money I could make. So I didn't want to like set up an LLC and then just totally quit the business because I gave up and I realized coaching's not for me. I wanted to wait and just have everyone sign contracts, only work with people I really trust, make sure I know what I'm doing, and like I protect myself in like the way I interact with them, and then set up an LLC once I have an established business. So that's in the process right now. Did you write up your own contract or have someone do it for you? So for my contracts, I have a couple different ones depending on who I'm working with. I have like a general terms and conditions that I typically use for my course right now. And that one I just found online. I found a different terms and conditions for a different course that I felt like was similar. And I read like, like tooth and comb, like I read every single line and changed the wording to match what I needed it to say. And obviously to apply to my situations and my clients. And then I use that for my course. And then my budgeting, like my one-on-one clients, I help financial coaches become better financial coaches. Like I help financial coaches get their business off the ground to start seeing consistent income. And for those people, I found I found a contract online again that I liked. And then when I have like a guy who helps me, like a virtual assistant, and for his contract, I did the same. So I went to like lawdepot.com and they give you a contract, and you can get a free trial for a week. So you can just pump out all the contracts you need and then quit your membership. Otherwise it's like $33 a month, I think. So it's not really that expensive if you want to keep it around for a couple months, just to make sure you have all the legal things in place. So basically I either used Law Depot to get the exact situation of contract I want, because you can, like, it's pretty user friendly. You click who you are, who the contract's for, what tasks you want them to do, what exactly you want protected, and you can just check all the boxes and it gives a contract. And that's what I use for some people. Otherwise, I found terms and conditions or contracts one-on-one online, and I just tailored that information to fit myself. So actually with my clients who I help become financial coaches, I show them exactly how to do that. And I just give them my contract. I mean, they sign it, but like I also give them the contract I use for budgeting clients, because I know thinking of contracts and all that legal stuff is really difficult for people to get their business off the ground. So that's one of the things I provide to people who sign on one-on-one with me, if they want that. So if there's any other questions, write them in the chat. I have a couple more on here that I'll answer, but let's see. Okay. This is one that's good. Did you work with a coach and lay out a plan before you quit? If so, for how long? So yeah, like I answered part of it earlier. I worked with a coach and we both made up a plan I would make $4,000 in sales every month for 3 months to show myself I could do it consistently and I could cover the bills. And so a coach helped me develop that plan. And then I worked with another coach who really pushed me to like hit my 10K month. And then my first coach, so my one coach who helped me think of like the 4K every month is Sabrina Phillip. She's amazing and like a multi-millionaire, and she's like younger than me and she's great. And she also helped me make a sales plan for 2020. So not only would that income be sustainable, but it would grow to like multi 6 figures, which was my goal. So she helped me make not only like the plan to quit, but also a sales plan for 2020. So it is really helpful to work with a coach because they can help you just put that into writing and give you action steps, and you just crank it out. And it's helpful to have the coach to hold that space for you, because sometimes when it's just us, like if I didn't work with, even though like, okay, obviously I could have just told myself, Kelsey, make 4K every month for 3 months. Okay, like I could have just told myself that, sure. But it was really great having her, because when I felt lost or doubtful of myself, or I felt like getting a new client was hard, I could just rely on her and the other girls in the group. It was a business group, and just like give my fears out to them, and just, crank out all my worries and doubts. And then they would come back to me and be like, Kelsey, you're crazy. You literally just signed 5 clients in a week. That never, ever happens. Why are you doubting yourself just because you haven't hit whatever number yet? It's only week 2 and you just signed 5 clients. Like, that makes no sense. Like, you have that group and you have that coach to help you, like, soundboard against yourself. And sometimes when like you're making your own plan without a coach, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna make 4K every month for 3 months, then your own doubt starts to creep in, and your own limiting beliefs and why you haven't ever gotten to that moment, like, plays even stronger. Because I would just say to myself, oh no, I can never do that, that's way too much, oh my god, that's crazy, oh my god, I made 0K last month, how can I just make 4 now? Like, all those crazy thoughts can spiral if it's only up to me to create a plan and hold myself accountable. So it's really important to work with a coach who can see your vision. And so like when I work with clients now and help them build up their financial coaching businesses, it's so crazy being on the coach's side, because I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, you have a great business. I don't understand why you don't think you can sign 1 client. That makes no sense. And so that's why my clients like see really great success, because they have me to project their fears onto. So yeah, we laid out a plan. She helped me not only come up with an income goal, but like, anytime I was feeling nervous or like, oh, how do I tweak my content, or what do I say to this person, to this response to their message, it was really helpful to have that person always there in my back corner. And I would not have been able to quit without her, especially because I was really nervous to quit. Even though I knew I could do it, I was so nervous. I like wasn't sure if I wanted to, but she told me probably like 10,000 times, she's like, you have to quit. And I'd be like, well, how do I like create a video? You have to quit your job, that's how. Like, she kept like hammering that into me. So I that really did help push me over the border. So yeah. Okay, How and when did you decide to get a coach? Did you get stressed about spending money on a coach? So no, so the first thing I ever did was I invested in a couple courses before I invested in like a personal business coach that I work with. And the courses are helpful. Courses are great to get started, I think, because they do give you like an action plan and steps and modules and worksheets that you can follow, or at least the good ones do. So I worked with a couple coaches. So those have like support groups and stuff, but it wasn't that one-on-one. So by the time I went to join my business group with my coach, I had taken a couple courses up to that point, but I never like worked one-on-one with a coach. I mean, this wasn't like one-on-one, but kind of, because we're in like a very intimate group. And so my first investment I ever made, okay, so like I'm backtracking, but I swear this has a point and it's a good answer. So I know I'm backtracking, but like the first investment I ever made was when I wanted to start my blog, and I bought a $7 ebook, and it's called like so it's from The Busy Budgeter. So if you go to thebusybudgeter.com, Rosemary Groner makes like $1 million a year from her blog, like crazy amounts, like maybe more than that. I don't know. She stopped publishing income reports, but like 7 figures from a blog. And I thought that was so crazy. And I downloaded something free, and then I wanted to buy her ebook, and it was $7 because it was on sale. And I was like, oh my God, should I do it? And I remember like sitting in my living room, like on the floor, like on my laptop, like shaking, like, oh my God, like, should I buy this ebook? And it's $7. It's not like the investment money was stressful, but it was stressful for me because what that purchase meant to me was I'm investing in my future. I consider myself a blogger, so I'm buying a blogging book. And like, it was like buying that book was saying to myself, I'm investing funds, and money, after all, is just an energy, right? Like those cash dollars don't mean anything unless we put meaning behind it. So money's an energy. And I was saying, I'm transferring a little of my energy to this book. And that means that I'm going to do everything this book says because I believe in myself as a blogger. And having that identity shift from regular person to, no, I have an entire blog because I want to build an empire, that was this shift I needed. So I bought the $7 book, and I still felt very wasteful. I was like, oh my God, like this is so much money, like to put on something that I don't even know if it's gonna like do anything. And that was my first investment. And then I invested in like slightly more expensive things. So I'm only saying that because that when I finally invested in a business coach, her program is $7,500. So it was $7,500 that I had to put down. And no, I wasn't nervous by the time I got to that at all, because I was convinced that having that one-on-one help and that support and that sounding board, I would make all my money back and more, and I did. So I was not nervous. I was ecstatic to give her $7,500 because I knew I wanted her coaching more than anything. I knew I wanted to be in the business program. I knew that without investing, because think about when investing in a coach, make sure to think of like 2 things. Yes, the investment, what you think you're going to get, but what's the opportunity cost? What would happen if you don't invest in that coach? So what would happen if I never invested in her? I was like, I don't want to sit here and have to figure everything out myself. I want that person and that group in my corner to support me. I want those people who I can just send them a picture of like my Instagram and be like, is this good? Am I doing this right? Will this post like make like client conversions? Like, I don't know, because you can read stuff all day like, oh, post this type of content, blah, blah, blah. But when you try to post it yourself, like, or maybe it's just me, but all the doubts in my head were so strong. And then I'm like, am I doing this? I think it's teaching, but what if it makes no sense? What if nobody reads it? What if nobody likes it? And so having that, more than any tactic or strategy, having that support is everything. And I will continue to invest in coaches forever, because there is nothing better. So no, I mean, I felt nervous, and I know why you would feel nervous dropping that money, because it is a lot, but it's like, think about what that coach will bring you. It's more than working with a coach is like more than triple the value. Your time, money, whatever. You can just make more money. It's not that big a deal. Money is a renewable resource, and it will always come back to you. But time can never, ever come back to you. So the time that coach will save you getting to the next step is 1,000% worth it. What do you do when you get asked questions about finances that you didn't know the answer to? Bankruptcy, home purchases, investing. That's a great question. So actually later in February, I'm launching a financial coach mastermind. So for people who want to be financial coaches and grow their business and have a roadmap to make consistent 5K at least income. It depends on like where you start. I don't want to like promise like results, but going from like 0 to like consistent income, I'm starting a mastermind because when I work with all these one-on-one financial coaches, they ask me that. That is one of the most popular questions I ever get asked. So I'm like, what if we all had a mastermind where we can all work together and we can all share the industry secrets that we learn from each other? So I'm starting a private mastermind, and that is going to be one of the top questions answered, but I will answer it for you now. So what do I do when I get asked about finances that you didn't know the answer to? I just say, I don't know. I just say, I have no idea. I mean, I try to make it very, very clear what I'm good at. I mean, for me now, I've been posting on Instagram for like 2 years. So I feel like some topics I cover all the time. I always talk about mindset. I always talk about investing. I always talk about investing in yourself. I always talk about how to budget and make money feel good and using your emotions as a tool instead of like a restrictor, and abundance and all of that. So, and quitting your job and working on a side hustle, whatever. I feel like those are like my topics. So if someone comes to me and says like, I don't know if I should file for bankruptcy or not because blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know. Or like, it depends on what the question is. If someone asks like a very complicated, if someone asks a very complicated financial question that I've literally never spoken about, like that, like, why are they asking me that? Like that, I don't know. And so that's if someone random asks me, or someone who I'm working with like one-off, I'll just say, I don't know. I don't feel qualified to answer that question. If I'm working with a one-on-one client, like one time one of my clients, Melody, if you're watching, asked me about like life insurance, and I felt like I understood life insurance, but I wasn't sure the exact details. So all I did, I mean, another thing people hire you for is they just don't feel like doing the research. Like think about like lawyers, okay? Like all that information's public. It's not like they'll find it for you. So like you would hire a lawyer to find that information out. You don't expect them to necessarily memorize every single law on the top of their head. You're hiring them to do the research. So if someone asks me a question I don't know that I feel like I can figure out, I'll figure it out for them, and I'll do all the research, and I'll say like, this is what I believe, like this is what I believe in, here's why. And if they don't like that answer, then they don't like the answer, and we'll discuss and come to a different conclusion. But I always make sure to be very honest. If I'm like, I don't know the answer, or I'll do the research for you. I always try to find the answer, and if it's too hard, then I just don't do it. Because it is really important, I feel like, to be upfront and not pretend you know everything, because these are people's finances is a massive, massive part in their life. Okay, so like you can't mess up, right? Like you can't tell them wrong advice and just guess. Like it has to be like very concrete advice. So if I don't feel 100% sure that I know something, I tell them that, and I help them do the research for them like a lawyer would. Okay, because you understand it and they don't, and it's better if you give an answer than if they do the research themselves. Okay, thank you so much. That was so helpful. Yay, I'm so glad. If you ever have any questions, Emily, feel free to reach out. Where do I find the information for the financial mastermind? Great question. I'll be posting soon this week. I haven't launched it yet, so it's still a secret. I've been finalizing some things on the back end. I'm getting the sales page up, but I will definitely send you a personal application if you're interested a little bit early. And I do have a couple girls. It's going to be a really, really small group of financial coaches that are going to be in the mastermind sharing everything they know about each other. And a bunch of spots have actually already filled with people who are interested in. So I'll make sure to send you the application early so you can claim your spot. So yeah, Jennifer. Yes, of course. You're in, girl. Okay, so if anyone else has any questions, let me know. Let me browse the questions asked yesterday to see if there's anything really crazy that I didn't answer. Oh, that's a good one. How financially stable did you feel to quit? How much did you save to prepare to support everything? Okay, so I had been saving for a really long time. I had been saving forever, right? I mean, my net worth is 100K. That's the whole point. So I have 100K. And to me, it doesn't matter. I have a lot in actual savings. I have a lot in my checking. I have a lot in investments. And to me, it didn't really matter as much like which account, because like if there's an emergency, I would just use that money. So in my savings account, I have well over a year of expenses saved up. A lot of it I saved up so much because we're getting married, so it was meant to be spent on the wedding. But for me, like my future, my daily moments are way more important than extra fancy stuff for the wedding. So if you're going to my wedding, sorry, but I plan to use my savings for myself if it came down to that. But it hasn't yet. I mean, I've been making enough sales to sustain myself, so I haven't had to dig into savings. I personally saved up over a year. If you were going to quit your job, like the general you, not you, Catherine, but like anyone out there, I would definitely recommend, it depends on like what you're quitting for. Like if you have, my business was making thousands. I was sure it would keep making money. So I didn't worry, even though I have over a year in savings, I didn't worry so much about that. But if you are like me and you knew your business would continue making thousands if everything went the same, then I feel like, yeah, at least 6 months of expenses. And yeah, I mean, it's always scary to give up. How financially stable did you feel? So it's always scary to give up like promised income, especially because, like I said, I was making like, I wasn't making a lot, but I was making a lot more than I would have in that position. And I know I'll never find another job with that. I'll never find that kind of job with that salary again because I was making so much. And I'm thankful for that. And it was scary to give up. So I can't say I felt like, whoa, I'm so confident I'll do better, but I trust the universe. I spend every day like manifesting, trusting the money will come, and it always has. So I feel just as confident as I ever did, which is another super important piece of hiring a coach or joining a business mastermind is that trust. I mean, you can work so hard every day, but when you're not seeing results, it's very difficult. But just trusting the universe, it'll happen, and the money will come. Is like the answer to everything. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we've been on for a while. If you have any questions, thank you guys so much for joining. I had a lot of fun like sharing my story, getting it all out of me. Okay. And I loved answering your questions, and you guys had some really good ones. If you have any more that I didn't answer, I know I didn't get to all the ones like that people asked. Feel free to DM. I'll try to message you as well if you already sent me one. Otherwise, DM me, email me. You know where to find me. I'm on Instagram all the time. I come on live every single day. So yeah, so thanks for joining. I had so much fun, and keep your eyes peeled if you want to be a financial coach. It's going to be like the best mastermind ever. So I will see you guys soon.